Timing will start on selecting Start Mission. We'll skip a few cutscenes and we'll skip the tutorial on the beach. I'm going to go into way too much detail about things, but this is kind of the point of this video. To skip cutscenes, I just mash Start and X. I kind of mash X at about half the rate that I mash Start at, and that usually keeps me from canceling out of the skip cutscene prompt. You'll notice a few times that I'll accidentally skip out of it in the run. And now on to the Caribbean coast section of this level. The first thing I do is I use the run speed comm because we don't have access to the box yet. And then I do a long grenade throw slightly to the left of the gate. If you throw to the right, sometimes it hits the explosive barrel and then the frame rate kind of drops. I don't really know how much time it loses, but I try to avoid it. Then we have some more cutscenes to skip. And we are on to the level proper. The first thing I do is use the Here Goes comms. I take the left pathway, it's slightly faster than the right one. And that headshot there is kind of tricky, but if you just trust in the aim assist, it usually works pretty easily. Though I have reset quite a few runs right at the beginning because of it. In this next area, I use a stamina recovery comm first, then the run speed one, and then I shoot this guard in the back, and then he turns around. If you shoot too late, he'll see you, and then you can't exit this area in caution or above. I duck on the stairs to save a little bit of time, and then we have a QTE, and the level's over. The QTE is R1, then mash triangle, then R1 and R1 again. You can actually lose time to the triangle mashing section. I kind of have like a hyper tapping technique that I use when I do the individual level runs, but I usually abandon it in the full game runs because it's very inconsistent for me. But it did save a second for the IL record. On to the second mission. This is the first mission we can use the box in, so the first thing we'll do is equip the box. I charge straight through this guard, and it distracts the other one. It doesn't matter if we get seen here. The next area has no guards, and any alert or caution phase will be removed. And we'll just box boost through this whole next area, mashing R1 the whole way. Grunting is kind of the soundtrack of this run. Now in this section, I use a stamina recovery comm, and then immediately follow it up with the Rathalos Roar to stun the first guard. The second guard gets distracted by that and completely ignores us. We want to exit this area and enter the last one in caution or below so that we can use surrender to instantly clear the area. Once surrender is used, everything after that is just for show, really. You can just stand around and do nothing. This whole section's on a timer. And now we have another quick time event. This one's pretty easy, just mash R1 through the whole thing. You don't even have to aim. For the final one, I like to mash Start and X at the same time, just because you can skip the cutscene immediately after firing the final shot at Chrysalis. For mission 3, the first thing that we're going to do is pull a Sir Robin and bravely run away.
Careful, they've got reinforcements coming.
For this next section, I use the Rathalos comm to stun the first two guards. Technically, it would be better to get an alert as soon as you can for the stamina recovery from decoy, but I find the next two areas a little too inconsistent in their guard placement in alert mode, so I'd just rather play it safe for that one section. I just take the alert right here anyway. I take a very wide path around this first guard. You could risk it and charge through him, but I, for some reason, have very bad luck with the box breaking on even the first hit in this area. It seems to have something to do with maybe inclines or just hitting people in alert mode in general. I'm not sure. Fun fact, the cardboard box is more durable in the PSP version. Here I specifically shoot the gate with the Carl Gustav multipurpose because the splash damage takes out the shotgun guard. Shotgun guards are kind of your worst enemy. They can either flinch you for about a half a second of time loss, or they can knock you over completely, which is a few seconds. And now on to the LAV fight. It takes one shot to the gas tank from the M47 to kill it, so just make sure you aim well. We get another QTE, just kind of aim up and right and press R1. And now we're going to rescue Chico. I don't think this is the last time MSF is going to have to rescue Chico. As before, more box boosting. I like to make sure I top my stamina off before I enter the next area, and it's important to enter in the box. Any load zone that starts with you running up a slope before you have control of your character will be faster in the box. I use surrender here to clear the caution state, because in the next area we can't start checking the doors for Chico until caution is cleared. And if we enter the next area with caution at 1 second, it will reset to 99 as soon as we enter. I got lucky with a first door Chico in this run, but there's normally 3 doors that he can be behind. The door that you end at in this level is the door that you start at in the next level. So it might be more optimal to run straight for the second door, as that door is the fastest for the next level. I nearly screwed up the beginning of this level. My placement of the box was very bad. I managed to save it, but what I'm trying to do is place the box a little further away from the wall, because I find it more consistent picking up the second box if the box is not right up against the wall. A little tech explanation for a very minor optimization. As you're dropping the box, before you close the menu, if you switch to a slotted item, when you grab the second box and enter the next area, the box will be slotted again with no need to menu to equip it. As we approach this truck, if you see the shotgun guard run behind it, you're usually safe. If he runs in front of it, he's going to shoot you and flinch you. So use the Rathalos comm or shoot him. And if you start at Chico door 3, when you get up here, the shotgun guards will just be coming out of that door. Use the Rathalos comm as you are coming up by that shipping container. When I get to the top of the ladder, I hold the menu button and drop the box, and then make sure I take a full step towards that shipping container before I roll. Also, sometimes the guard at the top will just be standing by the top of the ladder and you won't be able to drop the box. That's always fun. Before entering the final area, I use a stamina comm because I'm going to be using surrender again to clear a group of enemies.
Surrender. Looks like we're just in time. Neutralize all enemies and secure the train.
For the tank fight, I like to take the first shot and run directly towards the tank and get seen by it. If you continue to strafe right and you take the second shot before the tank sees you, usually you get one of the guards pulling a "Get down, Mr. President," and then you waste a whole 3 seconds on a reload. Now we're going to destroy a barricade. This is the mission that C4 is required for. So just a lot more box boosting. And I try to get seen as early as possible because there's quite the run in this one. Speedrunning Peace Walker is all about that cardboard box time. It's a whole lot of CBT. Ask any of the runners and they'll tell you, speedrunning Peace Walker is a lot of CBT. These next two gray guards that I shoot here are shotgun guards. With better luck, they can be in a position where you can hit them with the Rathalos comm and you don't have to exit the box, and that'll save a little bit of time. I'll use a stamina item as I'm vaulting over the wall right here. And then it's time for the coolest tech in the run. Right at about the top of this little ramp here, place C4 on the wall and then blow it up while you're standing in that corner, and you won't get hit. Right here, sometimes those guards can be early enough to hit you, but usually that's not the case. Now we're headed to Crater Base. This level has ended at least a few of my runs. If you run off the middle of this bridge, it's a good time to recover some stamina with one of your stamina items, but I am of the mind that more time spent in the cardboard box is more time saved, so I take the stairs. And this right here is another one of those load zones where you want to be in the cardboard box because of the incline right here. That guard is not a shotgun guard, so we'll just tank some hits and then run up here to the next area. Coming into this next area, there's going to be two shotgun guards right at the beginning. It's probably better to take them out with something explosive and not take a shotgun round like that. I like to equip well-done rations for the ladder so I don't die, and if this guy at the top gets to the turret, he will take a ton of your health away. There's a little shadow on the ground that I like to line up for to drop this box. Thank you, Sergeant Silent. And if you killed those two shotgun guards, the respawning ones will come out as you're going into the tunnel, so watch out for that. Now we have another QTE. Before you get to the actual QTE, you can kind of line up your inputs based on how you zoom in on the text on this screen here. You're looking for license plate 64779. The truck to the right of it will have Kojima if you don't have him, and I'm not sure where the Sunlight one is. It's too bad they didn't make that a battle cry. For a pupa, hit the head part with the first shot. That's anything that flashes yellow. Then the second shot will hit the pod. Now optimally I should have used C4 next, and then ran away, detonated it, and hit it with the Carl Gustav multipurpose to open the pod, but I did it in a slightly different order. Do note that ducking will let you place C4 a little bit faster, and I'm going to skip the pod scene because you don't need to pull any boards. You can actually just leave the boards for every pod section except for Peace Walker Battle 2. If you're going to grab boards, don't grab them within the last few seconds or you'll lose a little bit of time. And definitely don't grab any PAS tapes because you'll lose time menuing at the end. This level's pretty straightforward. You can just run straight through the whole thing. You don't have to use any comms. I just did for safety because sometimes in the next area the guards don't like to be in good positions if you enter an alert phase.
I'm with you. Watch out. Enemy search may not spot enemies that are actively hidden.
Chopper will take all three of your M47 shots if you don't get a critical hit, so try not to miss any of them, or menu to the bandana. This next mission, start off by running left. I continually forget and run forward into nothing. And this next area, the snipers are very blind. You can basically take a straight path right by them and they won't see you.
Some scouts are really hard to spot because they use grass or dirt to camouflage themselves. They blend with
I use a stamina comm here and then just book it to the next section. There's a cutscene that will cancel any alert or caution phase and refill your stamina. I didn't realize until just a few months ago that the reason your stamina gets refilled is because you and Cecile share some mate in this cutscene. Here I use surrender and then the other stamina comm, and that just clears a straight path right to the end. This is another level that you can't clear in an alert phase, but that only really matters if you're not running rank restricted. This is the first really big RNG mission in the run. You've got to find a guy wearing an orange coat and he can spawn in 3 different areas. I have a video that shows all 3 spawns with some routing for all of them, but I'm fairly certain it's a little bit outdated. I think it was before I started using Rathalos camo. But anyway, this level is not very fun to run with decoy, but using decoy and having well done rations and mate gives us just enough stamina to sprint through the whole thing if you get the worst spawn. We're going to basically sprint until we're completely out of stamina towards the first area that orange guy can spawn at. And when I run out of stamina, I roll and use all 4 of my well done rations and menu to the stealth camouflage as soon as those are depleted. When you enter this area on alert phase, you can usually see orange guy over at the end if he's in here. If not, you'll have a green guy running at you instead. And this is where Pro Wrestling Maniac would be good, because you can just see him and grab the card when it falls off from him. And I completely screwed up all of my menuing here and got seen again, and it wasn't good, but I still managed to save it. What I should have done was used a stamina item while I was waiting for the card to become grabbable, and then used surrender to neutralize the final group in that area, because I was in the orange phase at that point. And then when I came into this area, the snipers would have been in the positions where they become completely blind to you on the right side. I could have just run through this area, and then the next few areas I would have to use stamina items and surrender to get to the end. But instead I had to wait out the red alert with stealth in that area and then come to this area and clear it with surrender. And lost a little bit of time, but it wasn't completely terrible, and it still ended up being pretty good on my splits, I think, because my world record run was, I think, a second spawn orange guy, and not even a good one at that, because that was before any decoy routing, so it was all safe strats. And now we're on to another QTE after Strangelove forced us to talk to the mammal pod. The inputs are going to be L1, L1, R1, R1, L1, R1, right, triangle, left, and then R1. Like really fast. This is the chaffless strat for Chrysalis. Backpedal, lock onto the pod, and aim up and left really quick and shoot. Chrysalis will dodge into the rocket, and a follow-up shot with the Carl Gustav on the pod will kill it. Here I got the long landing for Chrysalis. It loses about 2 seconds versus if it landed at the top of the stairs instead. This next mission is the easiest in the run. You don't actually have to use any comms, you can just run straight to the exit. Just use comms for safety, again, just to reduce any chance of breaking the box or something. So this next level, Eliminate the Guards, can be very RNG dependent at times. This first wave you can take out with one Carl Gustav MP shot, and then I like to wait by this platform with the ladder, and hopefully I get the low spawn, which I did here. If I don't get low spawn, then that locks you into kind of a crappy route for the level. But low spawn, you can take everyone out with one shot right here as they start climbing the ladder, and then you'll get the next wave will be top spawn where they initially spawned, and they like to get, like, the last two guards will get hung up in the doorway very often. It doesn't matter which location they're coming out of, they just like to get stuck. But luckily this time it wasn't too bad. I managed to clean them up with the other rocket launcher. Now if you still stay in that general area, they will continue to alternate between the low spawn and the top spawn, and they won't use the ladder spawn at all. Which is good, because the spawns that get the top spawn will only have one way to go on their paths, whereas if they spawn at the ladder or the low spawn, they like to split up and it takes more shots to kill them all. Also, note that you don't actually need to kill the kidnappers in this level, though they are a huge pain and you do lose a lot of time if they grab you. I ended up losing a little under a second versus my world record splits on this level, but that's really not that bad, to be honest. Especially where the end here was 3 shots for 4 guys. For a Cocoon, there's a one-shot strat. Lock onto that Gatling gun, aim up and left, and shoot, and the explosion can hit the AI pod, the head, the armor piece, and the Gatling gun all at the same time, which technically means the armor piece made it take more damage. I missed it here and I messed up the follow-up, but either way, as you strafe around, unload a few shots into the pod until it's at 1 bar, do one more for good measure, and get into position for the next spot. The health lock's at, I don't know, 1 HP or something. Make sure you're in the box here. If you're not in the box, you'll get pushed back by the wind, and if you're too close, you'll take damage and get knocked over. Box boost onto it after it hits the wall and stops moving. Then after the little ladder cutscene, shoot it anywhere. Since it's at such low HP, that should put it into this pod vulnerable state. And then that little roll up to the platform, depending on how it's shuttering, you can be blocked from doing that, and that'll lose a couple seconds. Don't climb the ladder immediately if you do get that roll, because if you are touching the ladder too early, you will get launched backward, and you'll lose like 5 seconds recovering from that. About halfway through the hiss noise, it's safe to climb, so just wait a little bit, climb up to the top, shoot the pod, and you're done.